This is part one, the basics of the game. We're going to cover stance, going to cover how to hold your cue, your grip, how to bridge, and once we go through all of these and the variations of them, you'll be able to then, with these new basics, be able to play any pool game with skill. So let's just get started and get right into it now. The classic snooker stance is when I go into it, my right foot is at a 45-degree angle, and my left foot is almost parallel with the shaft. It's slightly pointed in. My left foot is now parallel, and it feels more comfortable for me to be pointed in, although some people may have it parallel. This is how people played the majority of the 20th century. You will notice that both of my knees are flexed. I don't like locked knees. You get to be an older player and you have locked knees. Once you turn 50 and you start to get a little arthritis and get stiff, you won't be able to play. You get a good stance and you're flexible, you'll be able to play well into your 80s. The key thing of becoming a great player is to have great basics. Basics are the key to golf, to tennis, to pool, to any sport. So we're going to show you solid ways to stand. I don't want you forward, that's bad. I don't want you back, that's bad also. I want you to feel like that your weight is evenly balanced. You should be able to rock slowly. Now here's a secondary stance. This is the way Allison Fisher is playing, and this is a wonderful stance for anybody that's a little overweight or an older guy. Just stand with your feet almost pointed out at 30-degree angles where you're facing the shot, like so, and just squat down. Act like there's a stool behind your back end and just sit. Just lower, bend your knees, lower your butt into the shot. It's very cool, very comfortable, doesn't look real good, but most people I put it into find everything happens well. They suddenly line up and they're comfortable playing. You see world players in the past that played like this. They played very wide. Willie Mosconi and Ralph Greenleaf, the greatest players of all time, had their knees bent and their feet were very close together. So what is the point? The point is each of these stances we've shown you, a great player won a world championship with them. Just find what works for you, get comfortable, and go with it. The grip. None of my students in a Power Source Pool School are allowed to call the grip the grip. They have to call it the hold because we don't grip the cue. I see many students gripping the cue where almost sawdust is falling out. When you hold a cue real tight, you kill wrist action, you kill feel, you kill English. It's destructive. And also, when you come into the shot, if you increase grip pressure, you twist. The thumb rolls over and you put unwanted English on the cue. One of the two greatest secrets Willie Mosconi said he got from Ralph Greenleaf, who was the greatest player of his time, was you can't hold the cue too lightly. Light is best, lighter is better. That's what Greenleaf taught. You see the Filipinos, they're fabulous players. They can do marvelous things. The cue is just laying in their hands. It can almost float around. They're not holding it, it's just laying on the fingers. So remember, how tight do you hold the cue? As lightly as possible. Assume that the cue is the neck of a little delicate finch. And at any time on a follow or drive shot, you're pulling back and going forward. If you squeeze and increase pressure, you break the neck and you kill the little bird. So please don't kill the little birdie. Hold the cue lightly, back, through impact, through follow through. When I came up and I began playing in the late 50s and early 60s, which was my prime when I played the best, the main book that we had, actually it was about the only book, was the Willie Mosconi Red Book. It was real small. You can still get it on eBay today. And Willie went through all the basics. And he did a wonderful job. But what Willie taught was find the balance point of your cue, which is here, and then hold 3 inches behind it. That advice is still remembered and still taught today, and a lot of players think that's the correct way to hold the cue. I don't. I think that's wrong. Remember, Willie had a very narrow stance. Willie was a straight pull player. He was playing all in one end of the table. It didn't matter that he was jacked up because he was always 1 foot from the ball and shooting soft shots. Today, a 9-ball, you're driving, you're hitting force follows, you're hitting shots Willie never faced in 14-1, and it requires a longer stroke and a more level cue. In my opinion, there is no one place to hold the cue. I hold it where Willie did, but during a run, I may be here, I may be here. A lot of my shots, I'm actually off the linen wrap on the butt. Well, the old books taught if you held the cue on the butt, you were a hacker. That was wrong. That's not true. If you view any of the top world-class snooker players from England, Steve Davis, Hendry, Jimmy White, any of those players, you'll see them rubbing the reel, and they will be on the butt. You'll see Jim Rippey, Hall of Famer, on the butt. It happens a lot. Watch what happens when I hold the cue here. I'm naturally jacked up, and watch what happens when I move my grip or my hold back. I automatically get level. The different holds on the cue, there are many. You look at the old photographs of Willie Hoppe, Greenleaf, Jake Schaefer Jr., and what you'll see is their side saddle. You'll even see Keith McGreedy like that today. The reason there's side saddle was they started playing when they were babies and they couldn't get over the rail. It was the only way they could hit the ball. Even Hoppe admitted that was not the best way to play. Hoppe admitted that the best way to play is what they call the pendulum. Straight up and down, not out on the side. The Willie Hoppe grip was one finger on the cue, the index finger. We'll always call the thumb neutral. Your thumb is your enemy. Your thumb is what twists. So you have to get the thumb not twisting. The teacup Willie Hoppe grip was exactly this. 3 fingers flying out, and all you had was the thumb and the index finger. I played with that grip well up into 1993-94. I could do some amazing things with it, and so could Willie Hoppe. The problem was he was playing billiards. There is a terrible twist to that shot. When you shoot, you hit the ball, and it twists off. So you have to play the twist. Ralph Greenleaf solved that problem by adding the second finger to the cue. He got more stability in the pull shots. Willie Mosconi got even more accuracy by adding the third finger to the grip. And that's what Willie's grip looked like. The little finger flying out. When I'm shooting just a standard shot or a long shot that requires total accuracy, I'll have all my fingers on the cue. And if I'm just hitting it, center ball, those fingers will stay on that cue and not come off. But if I'm wanting to do something with the cue that'll have some action on it, like a real whip, force, follow, or draw, then I might pull it back and that little finger, even this ring finger, may wing off, or this finger may move, and then it comes back on. Watch this again. In other words, I'm now activating my wrist. I'm no longer swinging my forearm. I'm starting my backswing with my wrist. My forearm is forced back, and then I whip my wrist through. And in order to do that, to get maximum force, follow, or draw, a finger or two have to come off and then come back on the cue. Or you're just slamming the cue with a sledgehammer stroke. You're not getting any real wrist whip in action into the ball. We're now going to talk about bridges, and I test every student to see what size their hands are. I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'1", 240 pounds. I have 17-inch arms. I have a pretty big chest, but I have small hands for my size. My hands are actually identical to Jack Nicklaus's, which is another big, strong guy. They're called surgeon fingers, which means I would be a great brain surgeon, but I probably wouldn't hammer nails real good. Small fingers are a deficit in pull. You'll never make good bridges. Your fingers aren't long enough. If you have long, slender fingers, what we call piano fingers, you'll make beautiful bridges. So if you have small fingers like me, then you're going to have to do some different things on your bridges, and we'll get into that. If you're a complete beginner, the best bridge to start with is the fist bridge. Just put your knuckles on the table and take your index finger and thumb and wrap around it. And then start making a stroke. This is also a good bridge for an intermediate player who wants to shoot left-handed. I really can't make a good left-handed bridge, but I can do it this way. For the better player, if you do have a ball that's very, very close, and you're going to have to draw, the problem is if your fingers are way out, the cue ball can draw back and hit your fingers and foul. So one way to avoid that is to get the fingers back under out of the way, and then you could get your hand out of the way. Americans always felt that the open hand bridge was a beginner's bridge. That's not true. All the great snooker players in England all play this way. They shoot all their shots. You can get low, medium, or you just roll over on your side and you get high. Now all the great 9-ball players on the tour are shooting a lot of shots open hand. You can put 2 fingers up like this. You can make them many different ways. They're very, very solid shots. I use a lot of open hand bridges myself. The only shot I don't like to hit is a follow with an open hand bridge, which I'll demonstrate now. If I'm shooting a force follow and I have an open hand bridge and I'm shooting real high on the ball, the shaft comes up, and I don't like that. That means the tip is coming off of the ball. I can get more power and stay on the ball longer if I use a closed loop bridge. The standard bridge used today, that Mosconi used, is what we call the closed loop bridge. 3 fingers are on the table. You put the cue in between the thumb and the index finger, and the index finger wraps around fairly tight and touches the thumb. And again, you can be low, you can roll over on your side, medium, or go high. All the 3-cushion billiard players on tour use this type of bridge. If you're a short-fingered person like I am, the problem is your fingers aren't long enough, or your index finger isn't long enough to really ever be comfortable with this. So what we want to do is take the bird finger, the long finger, roll it under. Just put your fingernail on the cloth and then come around. Now, this bridge has 5 points. The purpose of that, let me show you the 5 points. Little finger, ring finger, middle finger right in here is on. Index finger, nail is on the cloth, and the thumb is down. 5 pressure points. This was the draw bridge that Willie Hoppe used. This bridge is extinct today, and I don't know why. I use it a lot, and it's very effective. If you're also a little finger person, this is the standard bridge I wished you would use. Not the 3-finger. Now, and take the ring finger and roll it under. And then wrap your index finger and thumb around. And suddenly, when I show this to people, they have freedom they didn't have before. How to shoot off the rail. Lay your cue on the rail. Lay your hand on top of the cue. Put the cue between your bird finger, your index finger. Spread your thumb out wide, your little finger out wide. And now you can make a very powerful stroke. The cue ball is against the rail. This is a real problem, and what you normally see players do is they're jacking up. Well, I don't like being jacked up because that's really going to cause a problem. In this case, you must concentrate on hitting the center of the ball. Don't use any English, even take a lesser shot, and get level. Taking my bird finger and putting it down the rail, like so. And now I got a very, very solid bridge. It isn't going to move, and I can hit the center of the cue ball. Both balls are frozen on the rail. I'm going to take my standard closed loop bridge and just put my little finger up on the cushion, wrap around, and then I'm ready to go. I'm going to shoot a little bit left English, which helps the ball stay on the rail. This is called an over-the-ball bridge. I want to shoot the 13, but I have to be careful I don't touch the 5 with my shaft or my cue, or I foul. So I make a tripod. The bird finger folds under, the index finger folds under, and the thumb pulls around for a grip. Here's what it looks like. And I get the cue jacked up in the air, and I can hit it down at very sharp angles. Follow-through is an extremely important component in every sport. In golf, tennis, hockey, and in pool. Beginners don't understand why they have to follow through. Why can't I just hit the ball and stop? Well, if you hit at a thing, you actually decelerated impact. The idea of hitting beyond it means you're accelerating an impact. And that's a proven time-lapse fact in all sports. So in pool, when I'm shooting, I want to follow through the ball. I want to hit it and not poke it or jab it. I want to smoothly follow through the ball. That gives me my best roll. Now, there are pool schools that do teach that you hit down into the cloth on a follow or a drive forward so the elbow doesn't drop. I'm not in favor of that. All the great players didn't do that, even though there are shots I do that. All the great players hit straight through the ball, parallel, and kept going. I have a lot of photography of Willie Hoppy, who was 5 foot 1 inch and barely 100 pounds. He had a 5-inch bridge, and man, did that guy have a follow-through. He would go out almost 2 feet. And on some shots, I actually have some extreme follow-through, although I don't teach that, but this is where I get a lot of the power things I do. When you play pool, you're going to get in situations where you're going to face high temperatures, humidity, you'll be in a pool hall, too many people will be there, and your hand will get sticky, and that makes it very difficult to stroke. If you're playing in bars, you get a lot of sticky cues. You can carry one of these little packets with you in your pocket or in your pool case pouch, and it can solve the stickiness of your hand simply by putting a little powder here and then rubbing it in the area where the cue goes through. But then rub it off. In other words, get rid of it and put it on your hand, but not on the table. You should be able to play now nice and smooth and not have any powder residue. If you're putting powder prints on the table, you're a powder pig and you're not my friend. Okay, because that powder is getting on the balls and it's going to cause them to throw and react funny. These little packs are sold in most pool halls, or you can go buy your pool and billiard distributor and buy a big cup of silver cup talc for your home. Put it on the shelf and just pour a little right there, like I did on the other. Move it around, dust it off, and then you're ready to play. The best thing to do is just to buy a glove. And my 2 favorite gloves, which I think have the best quality, are the Sir Joseph. I actually prefer a beige glove, although I film in black. The Sir Joseph doesn't cover the whole hand. The Sure Shot glove does, and it's my preferred glove because I have more coverage. Both are fine gloves. They're only $10 to $15. When I wear my glove and I come home and I have chalk on here, what I do is I start the faucet with medium warm water. I take soft soap and I rub where the chalk is, and I rub the chalk out. Then I take the glove off, rinse the water out, hang it up to dry, and it's ready to go the next day. They're made out of a spandex type of material, and water will not hurt them. We all face situations where the cue ball gets in places you can't reach. And this is kind of one of them. I need to draw a table length, and I'm stretched out. And when you overextend, You'll miss cue every time. So remember, the crutch or the bridge, we call it by both names, is your friend. You'll normally find them hanging under the table in a pool hall. And when you pull the crutch out, if it's aluminum, rub your fingers through. Be sure there's no sharp edges. A lot of them have rough edges, and they'll actually put dings or grooves in your cue shaft. That's why the best ones are made out of plastic, so they can't do that. But then you may face a cheap bridge like this. This bridge head is not good. It doesn't allow me to get up here. It's flopping all over. Here it's not too bad. This is just a poor design. So because it's so important, I carry my own bridge head. You go to a good pool table manufacturer that has a showroom, and they sell these Elkhorn bridges. Stick it on either my brake cue or available house cue. And now I have a world-class bridge head. So if I had to get over a ball, I can now do that. Or I have multiple angles with I can draw from. Take your hand and pick up the bridge. Put all your fingers underneath it, your thumb on top. Don't lay it down. You need to be always holding it so you can pull it away, especially if you're drawing. Lay your cue in a slot, and I take the reverse. All my fingers on top, my thumb on the bottom. Now I can get an aggressive stroke. I can hit follow or draw or stop. And just make a good solid move through the ball. And you can even draw table length with a crutch. Remember, the crutch is your friend. It is not your enemy. So practice it and get good at it. Everybody in every sport realizes strength is a very important component. And in pool, you practice with a 1-pound cue. I practice with a 12-pound cue. I've taken a barbell, sawed it off, and I use this every single day. I've done this for 15 years. I stand in a brake position, and I simulate a brake with all my power. And I throw myself through, and I do this 100 times every morning, letting my weight go back and forward, simulating this. Then I take my bar, and I put it in the overhead masse position, and I do 100 of these. Very few young, strong men can do 100. And I've built up my muscle chain where I have extraordinary strength by my wrist flicking, my lat, and my small muscles. I can arm wrestle a young man, and he'll beat me every time. But in these movements, I'll get him every time because I'm stronger in the pull chain. I carry a barbell in my car, heavy hands, I squeeze balls. My concept is get your fingers strong, and then you can hold the cue light for a long time. But the fingers start to weaken, and then subconsciously you'll grip tighter, and that causes a twist. One of my pet peeves is how to handle chalk. Most people have never been taught the etiquette of it. You never set it down upside down on the rail because you'll get chalk dust and it'll get on the balls. Always set the chalk upright. And I hate it when you got a piece of chalk on every rail. You don't need that. All you need is one piece of chalk on the table at one time. I always set it on my right side, then I shoot, and I can pick it up without even looking at it. Let me give you an example of how that goes. I picked the chalk up and I didn't even look. Now, I have missed. And what happens is the opponent comes walking up to the table, and here's the faux pas. Immediately when he comes up, his need is to grab the chalk. What do? I grab the chalk and I start grinding away. Why am I doing that? I've missed. I should go to my chair and sit down and not grab the chalk. And then finally he stands around patiently. He picks it up, he chalks, and then after he chalks, then I pick it up and I'm hanging on the rail and I'm grinding in his ear. So the point is, when you miss, do not chalk up. Go to your chair. Have a piece of chalk there and chalk to your heart's content. But get out of the incoming player's way. Pool goes through 3 stages. Stage number 1, you learn how to pocket or pot balls. Stage 2 is when you become a better player, then you have to move the cue ball around, which is called position play. And you can move the cue ball constantly where you have simple shot after simple shot after simple shot. The 3 basic shots to achieve that are going to be the stop shot, the follow, or the draw, where you can stop to be in line, draw back for a ball on this rail, or follow or go down table. The stop shot, half tip low center. You want the cue ball to stop perfectly. The follow, you hit above center. Nice smooth follow through. The draw shot, hit below center, put a little nipper stab on the ball, and it comes back, draws back.